All right, welcome to our speaker series, number 38. Is that correct? Wow, we've been doing this for so long. We started this series through COVID so we could all get together, and Haleakala chapter is hosting, so I'm really excited. I'm Reba Lopez, the president of the Haleakala chapter. This speaker series tonight is going to be on clean energy in Hawaii. So we have some guests and VIPs from Maui. But first, I'd like to introduce Janine Getter. She's our new communications director for the state. She will be the new Katie, but she's our new communications director. She's going to be running these speaker series and the emails, and any communication that you have with HFUU will be going through Janine now. So thank you, Janine, for being here. And is this your first speaker series?
It is. I'm excited to be here. Aloha, everyone.
Aloha, thank you for being here. Okay, so if you guys don't know, I'm going to have a baby in November, so we're really excited for that. And so I will be resigning from the presidency, and our first musical guest is Mason Scharer, and he will also be stepping in to be our next president of the Haleakala chapter. So Mason, would you like to share something about yourself and then take it away?
Well, hello everyone, and thank you, Reba. I'm very excited to be stepping into some leadership role here at our Haleakala chapter, and I'm really excited about really getting back into our in-person meetings and potlucks, hopefully coming up this month or at least very soon. I am a farmer here on Maui and have been for the past 8 years, and I'm also a musician, and I have some music to share with you right now. So without further ado, here's a couple songs. This one is called Wells by the Expendables. Can I draw some water, babe, from your well? Can I draw some water, babe? Yeah, mine has failed, and the bucket, it won't come up. No matter how hard I crank, and the bucket, it won't come up. Yeah, I think it's safe. I walk the road to your house and mine. I hope the bridge hasn't collapsed. I hope the man at the gate will help me through, unless he's holding on to you. Oh, how has your garden grown? Is there fruit on your trees? Do you need a laborer to pull those weeds? Oh, I am so lonely, babe, with my spot on the hill. Oh, I am so lonely, babe. Oh yeah, the silence is still. I walk the road to your house and mine. I hope the bridge hasn't collapsed. I hope the man at the gate will help me through, unless he's holding on to you. Oh, help me from water, babe, from your well. Can I draw some water, babe? 'Cause mine has failed, and the bucket, it won't come up. No matter how hard I crank, and the bucket it won't come up. Yeah, I think it's saying. All right, and then I got one more song if you got any time for it. This one is This Must Be the Place by the Talking Heads, and this is actually one of my favorite songs. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you, Reba. And there you go. Back to you. And thank you all for the speakers that are going to speak today.
Thanks so much, Mason. I'm so excited for you to be our new president. Thank you for stepping up. And if anyone else is interested in leadership, we have a great board right now. There's about 9 of us. I'll still be on the board. And Karen, you guys all know Karen Reed. She's here hanging out. So Yep, she's our wonderful secretary treasurer at the moment. She does everything for us. So we are in need of officers. If you feel that calling to volunteer, it is 1 day a month, and then we'll do membership meetings. But it sounds like with this new president, maybe we'll just have parties and there'll be music and it'll be great. So without further ado, our next guest is Sally Barr, and she's actually next door neighbors with our sugarcane farm. My mother-in-law Marcia is right here, and she is next door neighbors to Sally. So it was just by happenstance that Sally from the Hawaii Wayfinders reached out to Haleakala, and then we realized we were neighbors afterwards. But here is a little bit about Sally. She is a clean energy wayfinder. She also has a background in music, publishing, energy, environmental policy, and circular economy. Since moving to Maui, she has established Hale Sunshine Rae, a food forest whose bounty directly benefits the Maui Food Bank. That's right, all of her food goes to the Maui Food Bank, and works with a dedicated team at the Hawai'i State Energy Office to share mana'o with the community to ensure all voices are heard in the process of this transition. So Sally, thank you so much for being here, and she's going to play us a little music as well.
Aloha, everyone. Mahalo, Reba, and everyone at HFUU for having me tonight. I'm just going to play one song. This song is 88 years old. It first gained real popularity 86 years ago, and I'm sure that it's going to be pretty familiar to pretty much everybody here. So, yeah. When all the world seems a hopeless jumble and the raindrops tumble all around, heaven opens up a lane. When clouds above darken up the skyway, there's a rainbow highway to be found, leading from your window pane to a place behind the sun, just a step behind the rain. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I've heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why, then why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't I? Thanks. Hope you enjoyed that. I was going to turn the light on. Oh,
That was so amazing, Sally.
Oh, thanks.
You really tell you're classically trained.
Yeah.
You're playing a piano and then you play violin, is that correct?
Yeah. I play violin professionally, a little piano, mainly for fun.
Yeah.
Sing a little.
Wow. Okay. Well, let me know if you need anything for your presentation, but take it away.
Okay, thanks, everybody. Let me see. I'm going to share my screen. That one, this one, and now we go like that. How's that? Good? Okay. Woo! Aloha kako. Mahalo nui Reba and the Haleakala chapter of the HFUU for inviting me here tonight. My name is Sally Barr. Aside from playing a little music, I'm reading a script here. There we go. Can you see me? Cool. I run this small haiku farm dedicated to the Maui Food Bank. My farm is run on 26 solar panels that generally produce between 1.1 and 1.4 megawatt hours per month, which powers not just my house, but also the well that irrigates the farm. I can share some slides on my farm later if we have time. And I'm also happy to report that the amazing crew that installed the farm here and helps to maintain it uses the 100% version of Pacific Biodiesel in all their trucks, tractors, and farm equipment. When I'm not out on the farm or playing music, as Reba said, I work for the Hawai'i State Energy Office, a clean energy wayfinder serving Maui Island. What is a clean energy wayfinder, you may ask? I am part of an 8-person statewide team whose kuleana is to connect with communities to learn about energy priorities, as well as the inequities, share information with relevant programs, and help community members better understand Hawaii's energy ecosystem. We create and bring accessible energy conversations to communities that will help support your participation in Hawaii's clean energy transition. Whether you're a farmer, kapuna, or keiki, everyone has a role in the clean energy economy, and the Wayfinders are here to help you find your way. So tonight, we're going to have an information upload. I'm going to share a general overview of Hawaii's clean energy transition with the energy infrastructure here on Maui, what's happening in agrivoltaics around the world, as well as the incredible projects that are underway here in Hawaii. I want to emphasize that the Hawai'i State Energy Office is not promoting any one clean energy source over another. We're just providing you with information on these innovative technologies, and we hope to shed some light on where our energy future lies. We'll be covering a lot of material tonight, and we definitely want to hear your mana'o, so we're asking some quick questions for you to answer in the chat during this presentation. Okay, ready? Here we go. 15 seconds. Why the rush to get off fossil fuels? All right, type your answers in the chat. Thanks. And go. There you go. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right. So our biggest reason for getting off, whoops, I get up the chat. There we go. Biggest reason is, here we go, unstable price of fossil fuels. With recent international political events, we have seen the price of oil rise and it rises the increases in our bills. The average single family of 4 pays $208 on Oahu. On Maui Nui, it's $223, and Hawaii Island, it's $241.26 per month. We import almost everything, even our fuel, 1/4 of which goes to our power plants. You can see in this slide that HSEO's 2020 facts and figures that petroleum counted for more than 63% of Hawaii's electricity production by source. In 2021, 59% of that electricity generation for the electricity sector came statewide came from the imported liquid petroleum products. Second question, ready? 15 seconds. Where do we get our oil from? Go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Is that it? No more guesses? Okay. Hawaii used to get its crude from imports from a fairly large group of suppliers until 2019, when Libya and Russia alone accounted for roughly a third of our supply. After 2019, Libya and Russia accounted for 91% of our supply until this year, and when Hawaii and many others around the world ceased to purchase crude oil from Russia due to their invasion of Ukraine. Hawaii resourced that supply and now purchases oil from Colombia, Argentina, and well done, Mason, Alaska. All right. Next question, last question. How is climate change going to affect Maui? And go. Ten, 11, 14, 15. All right. Oh, come on, silly. Here it goes. Okay, this data was compiled by UH Manoa and details the worst case sea level rise advances by the year 2100 if we do not decrease the concentration of planet warming greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. As you know, many of our favorite beaches are already disappearing, and as you can see, they will be gone, along with 20 to 30% of our infrastructure and homes around them. Sea level rise is a problem, and it's not just because we're going to lose land. As sea level rises, the salt water can displace fresh water in the aquifers. In coastal wetlands, salt water can mix with the fresh water, resulting in increased salinity, which becomes a major issue for farmers. You can see here how the ocean flooded these loamy patches in the Micronesian state of Chuuk. Apparently this damaged their production for up to 2 years. The impact climate change has on our current global food supply is already visible. The UN Foundation advises that failure to adapt our practices in response to climate change could result in global crop yield declining by up to 30% by 2050. Countries that are already grappling with conflict, pollution, deforestation, and other challenges are likely to suffer the brunt of these impacts. The 2 billion people already living without access to sufficient food, including smallholder farmers and other people living in poverty, will be hit the hardest. Okay. Hawaii imports, as most of us know, 85% of our food supply currently, but the state has a goal of doubling that local food production to 30% by 2030. If that were to be accomplished, it could save the state and farmers billions in transportation and import costs. So what's going to happen next? Okay, this next section is going to be kind of a rapid fire overview of our energy infrastructure here in Hawaii and on our island of Maui. Okay. Here's a list of all the major Maui Island electric generating units provided by Hawaiian Electric. Kauai has its own co-op utility that does not depend on HECO for electricity. Here on Maui Island, we have 2 major oil-fired power plants with third in Hana. You may have heard that the Kahului 15-megawatt power plant was scheduled to close in 2024. However, due to complications with replacement parts for the 212-megawatt Ma'alaia plant being imported from the Mitsubishi facility in Japan, the closure of the Kahului plant is being delayed for potentially up to even 3 years. These 2 slides show the breakdown of current renewable energy projects at the state and county levels. Distributed PV takes the highest percentage, followed by wind power at the state level, but the mix varies widely county to county. In Maui Nui, we're at 50.2% renewable resources, while our neighbor Kauai, with their own co-op utility, leads the state at almost 70% renewable sources for electricity. In general, it is important to remember that the biggest chunk of the state's recommendations are to conserve energy above all else. Hawaii has a state energy efficiency portfolio standard goal to reduce electricity consumption in Hawaii by 4,300 gigawatt hours by 2030. Here you can see all the upcoming energy projects in this slide, with the majority being installed in Oahu. Here on Maui, there are 5 utility scale and solar and storage installations slated to come online to replace the Kahului and Ma'alaia power plants. Here's a close-up of where those plants are to be sited. Okay, here's a really super quick overview of the electric grid starting on the left. You see some power generation either from fossil fuels or renewable sources that goes to transmission lines, some goes to storage, some goes to distribution en route to the customer. Here we see your basic solar, your basic rooftop solar installation, showcasing two-way energy flow between the network and the home where the panels are installed. Okay, let's just slow down a minute and talk about community-based renewable energy, or CBREs. You may know it as community solar or shared solar. In 2015, Act 100 of the Hawai'i State Legislature directed Hawaii Public Utilities Commission to establish a community-based renewable energy tariff. The stated intent of the program is to make the benefits of renewable energy generation more accessible to a greater number of Hawaii's residents and businesses who would otherwise be unable to directly participate in renewable energy generation for a myriad of reasons. CBREs feature two main roles: a subscriber organization and a subscriber. The subscriber organization is a company, an organization, a group of people who owns or develops or operates a CBRE project in an electric utilities service territory. That subscriber organization can be a neighborhood club or a church or a homeowners association or a labor union, charitable organization, any kind of company that is willing to take on such a project. A subscriber is just a customer like you or me in the same service territory of that same utility who agrees to pay that subscriber organization a portion for the output of their renewable energy product. Those credits are applied to yours or my electric utility account to offset a portion of our bill. You have to be a customer of Hawaiian Electric with an active account, and eligible utility customers can include homeowners, renters, business owners, or leasees. Here's a link that you can click on this page to check out the upcoming CBRE projects. If you want to take a screenshot of that, we're also going to have this recorded and sharing for later. But okay. All right, enough of the appetizers. Let's talk entrees, agrivoltaics. Okay, the biggest sticking point between agriculture and energy is available land use. So let's first off quickly clear up any confusion about what Hawaii state policy says on what kind of land can and cannot be used for energy projects. Any agricultural land with an A rating or any conservation lands, it's off limits to that kind of production, to that kind of development. Again, HSEO is not promoting any one kind of energy project or technology over another. We're simply trying to present you with information about the new technology and try to figure out ways to get these roadblocks between us to become synergies. Here's an historical timeline from the Fraunhofer Institute. They did a very thorough study on agrivoltaics. This was published in 2020. While these ideas of synergies between energy and food are fairly new to us here, farmers around the world, scientists around the world have been studying this for, as you can see, about 12 years, maybe longer. So these are just kind of new ideas to us. And they've, especially as prices on solar panels continue to drop, it's just going to be able to, we're going to be able to do more and more research as time goes on. As with any energy source, there are pros and cons, and agrivoltaics is no exception. On the benefit side, a well-designed system can provide shade that enables a farmer to diversify crops as well as improve irrigation performance as the soil and air stay cooler and more humid beneath the panels. Any water runoff from storms can be reused for irrigation, and the panels can also function as a windbreak, further improving irrigation performance. Of course, there is an additional benefit of diversifying a farm's income, with some reporting up to 40% increase in the farm's income by selling excess power back to the grid. The challenges are a potential for competition for land use, but remember, we cannot, by law, use Class A agricultural land for energy projects. Depending on the design, panels can create new wind tunnels that can harm plants, and issues from excess water runoff can become serious and should be considered before construction. One of the biggest issues, of course, is strengthening our labor force for operation and maintenance of these installations. So here's where things really get exciting. Generally, when we're talking about solar farms, this is what we see. These huge fields of just nothing but black solar panels, and they serve a great purpose, but most people consider these a big eyesore. Now, sorry, I went too fast. Okay, yeah. So what's coming up now is we can do like, You can put it on your rooftop, you can put it on your tractor, your shed, your storage units, but there's really some neat stuff coming down the pike that improves the look and the function of it as well. So these next few slides are featuring studies that were done by the Fraunhofer Institute and their partners. Starting with these greenhouses, the image on the left features a semi-transparent retractable installation that can be altered depending on the time of year, crop, or energy production needs. The project on the right shows the nearly transparent panels whose light transmission is adjustable from 20 to 70%. These types of installations can be easily used in place of fixed protective structures, eliminating any need for finding new space to use. In this study, this pear farmer used a different kind of semi-transparent panel with a design that left plenty of room not only for tree growth, but for farm machinery as well. According to the study, the diffuse back sheets improve light distribution and penetration within the orchard, mitigating losses. Here's another example. This farmer in Chile was dealing with severe drought and was depending on the shade from his panels to protect his crops. These appear to be more the traditional type of panel installed several feet higher from the ground. Okay, this picture may seem extreme for a local project, but the idea of floating solar panels can be a good one if planned properly. It may or may not be a workable solution for our aquaculture here on Maui. However, I know they are considering putting floating solar panels on a reservoir over on Molokai, so maybe we can start thinking about some kind of solution similar to that. Okay, this is a really cool installation. Semi-transparent glass panels instead of plastic, acting as a roof that protects the crops, lasts for decades, provides power for the farm and additional income from the electricity sales back to the grid. Now, here's one of my favorite parts. Let's talk about bifacial panels. These are generally set up facing east to west to maximize the sun's input. They take up very little land and they're very easy on the maintenance side. They can be raised up if desired. Perhaps the best thing about them, these bifacial panels can be used for fencing on your property or even in the pasture. If you go to PV Magazine, you'll find hundreds of articles on agrivoltaic studies. This first one here talks about a farm that had low quality groundwater and decided to add solar panels to make up for lost income from crops. The second picture features a project in South Korea where they found customers preferred broccoli that was grown in the shade of their panels as they were a deeper green and therefore more desirable by the customers. The third photo shows an installation that is raised very high up to handle tall crops such as hops, which they can grow. The hops can grow up to 26 feet. This farm used bifacial panels that picked up the reflected light from the underside. And this last shot talks about Japanese scientists who are producing yet another type of panel that can change the level of transparency of the panel depending on the project. Okay, there's even agrivoltaic conventions. This year's it was in Piacenza, Italy, and next year it'll be in April in South Korea if anybody's interested to attend. The variety of panels to be matched with products already seems endless, and the technology it just is constantly improving. This one's pretty cool. So this one opens and closes like a flower, tracks the sun during the day. It may not be a great solution for Hawaii with all the machinery and the salt air that we have here, but maybe they can come up with some, marine hardware to balance that out. I know there was a micro community in Pahoa to help out the displaced people from the Kilauea eruptions, and it was working pretty well out there, but I haven't heard any updates on how that's working. Anyway, that was a pretty cool one. So what's happening in Hawaii? You may know that they're over on Kauai, they're way ahead in terms of the agrivoltaics, and they've been using sheep to handle the grasses and everything like that. And they've been way ahead, I should say, in their clean energy practicing. But there is something really very exciting and impressive happening over on Oahu. Yesterday, my colleagues in the HSEO, as well as representatives of the Hawaii Department of Agriculture, went to Mililani Ag Park on Oahu to see the first of its kind agrivoltaic study in Hawaii. This study is being run by the Hawaiian Agriculture Research Center in partnership with Long Road Energy and Clearview Energy, and is halfway through its mission. This installation, Mililani 2, is adjacent to Mililani 1 solar park, which will receive its blessing tomorrow. Starting at the left of the picture, you can see the 4 sections that are being installed, with the one at the far end on the right already fully planted for this stage of the study. These long, white aquaponic boxes that reach about 2/3 of the way down the row are growing various lettuces. There are 4 of these. They've got these very nicely irrigated and all scrubbed out and sanitized and everything. I believe they are letting things sit for, I think, another week or 2 in the water, and then they're going to turn the system on and get the filtration going and take it on from there. Okay. Here's a different view from the backside of the site. You can see some lavender and melon on the ground. They also have these in-ground crops. The panels track the sun during the day, ensuring that all plants get both sun and shade. HARC is already collecting data on any differences in yields as well as other factors, and should have some preliminary results ready for distribution sometime this fall. They're trying all kinds of crops and varieties therein. You can see here a mix of mushrooms, some radishes, and some gorgeous broccoli. This slide features some delicious poha berries, some Swiss chard, and cantaloupe. If you look closely at the second picture of the chard, you can see that the backside isn't quite as large as the front at this point, but chard can go crazy. It may well come back and be just fine as the study continues. Okay, I wanted to share this one last picture of our group from yesterday's meeting. To me, this represents a very auspicious time in Hawaii's current and future life. These people you see here have really dedicated their lives to improving the energy and the agriculture infrastructure here. And that they are now working that much closer. And it's really an inspiration to all of us to really try to understand how we can work together better to make these synergies really come to fruition and make a better future for us all. The change is here, and it's a very, very good thing. And I think there's a lot of potential for us to grow and change and lead and have a very positive future. Mahalo. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Sally. That was so special. What a great way to end your presentation. We were wondering, first off, if you would send us your PowerPoint, if people wanted those links or anything in your presentation, could we possibly share that?
Yes, absolutely. It's an enormous file at the moment, so I need to, it's like 79 megabytes, so I need to shrink it down, and I'll definitely share it with you, of course.
Okay, yeah, just those links specifically were asked for, so that would be great.
Oh, yeah, I can share that again right now if you want. Where'd it go?
Yeah, or if you want to put those links in the chat, maybe that would be helpful. And then we had a question. Oh, my chat is full. Okay. And it looks like Parker answered how wayfinders are chosen. Sorry, my dog is really loud. So wayfinders are full-time positions with HSEO as part of the Kupu Aina Core program. They were selected amongst applicants for that program by HSEO and county energy officers. So thank you, Parker, for answering that. And if you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask them now. We will have time at the end of Joy's presentation to talk as well. And then you can access all of our Zoom recordings. All of our speaker series are on our YouTube channel. And if Janine, if you can share our YouTube link in the chat, that would also probably help people. So if there's no other questions, I would like to introduce Joy Galatro. So our Haleakala friend and past president Phyllis connected me with Kelly King, and Kelly passed on Joy's information, and we're so excited to have you here to represent Pacific Biodiesel. Kelly and Bob have been supporters of the Farmers Union for a long time. And so we really appreciate that. We also really appreciate seeing your guys' sunflowers. Joy Galatro spearheads marketing, PR, and product sales initiatives for Pacific Biodiesel and its sister company, Maiden Hawaii Naturals, LLC. Both companies founded by renewable energy pioneers Bob and Kelly King. For Pacific Biodiesel, she helps promote the benefits of clean, locally made biodiesel as part of Hawaii's renewable energy mix. For Maiden Hawaii Naturals, her focus is marketing the company's sustainable farming practices and local production of culinary oils, natural cosmetic ingredients, and clean beauty products. Joy helps connect a variety of audiences with the full circle sustainability focus of these companies, which demonstrates a system of renewable energy, recycling, and diversified agriculture that's helping to fight climate change and support greater energy security and food security in Hawaii. So thank you so much, Joy. Feel free to take it away.
Thank you, Reba. Okay, let's do a share. Okay, you should see my slide here. All good? Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Aloha, everyone. I'm just thrilled to be able to talk about biodiesel and sunflower blooms. I do not have the ability to sing or perform instruments, unfortunately, this evening. And man, if we timed this better, we could have had you guys come on out to our farm. In April, we held a day-long concert for Ukraine with our friends at Mana'o Radio, and mahalo to all of you who were able to attend that event. We raised about $72,000 for UNICEF USA to just do something to help the children of Ukraine during this crisis, and just reinforce to us again how much people love these Maui sunflower blooms. So thank you. Talking about biodiesel, let's first kind of step back, and it's a surprise to a lot of people that biodiesel in America, they may not realize biodiesel in America began here on Maui. Bob and Kelly King, as Reba said, the founders of our company, actually started the company in 1995. We created the first retail biodiesel pump in America on Maui, and that's actually Bob King right there with the first retail biodiesel pump. That is our first power plant. This is a recycling solution, first power plant. It's getting late. Our first biodiesel plant, 200,000 gallons a year we produced, and it was a recycling solution. Bob was working on the generators up there at the landfill and saw that a ton of used cooking oil was being dumped into the landfill. And he said, you know, what are we doing? There has to be something better we can do with this waste product. And there was. And you fast forward, and today, this is our refinery on Hawaii Island, and we are producing 5.5 million gallons a year of biodiesel. And that's an important contribution to the state. It's part of the renewable energy mix in the state because biodiesel as a liquid fuel is a backup to the other renewables on the grid, solar and wind. Those fluctuate in availability, and having biodiesel readily available, you can store it, you can transport it, it's available when you need it. So it's a really important part of the mix, and we're just thrilled to offer it. And if you were to look at 5.5 million gallons of biodiesel and push it all into electricity production, that's the equivalent of 220 megawatt hours per day of 100% renewable energy for the state. So we're really proud of this. We have 100 employees statewide, working really hard to create this fuel. And for those of you that still may not know what biodiesel is, it's actually an advanced biofuel. It replaces petroleum diesel fuel. For any diesel engine, you need a diesel engine. It's not a gasoline engine, but if you have a car, a truck, buses, boats, farm equipment, can run on biodiesel. You don't need to make modifications. That's probably our number one question is, do I have to modify my engine? You don't. And that's part of the beauty. You can use it right away. Sally, thank you. You mentioned that you're using it on your farm. Mahalo. We use it in all of our farm equipment. Just switch the fuel. You don't need to go out and buy an entirely new vehicle. You can just simply switch the fuel and immediately start to reduce greenhouse gas. We gotta get off of fossil fuel, and this is an easy way to do it. The fuel we make, this is a photograph. It is distilled like liquor, so it is pure and clear. Whoops. Pure and clear, in addition to being non-toxic and biodegradable. So 86% less emissions for any diesel engine, and the ability for us to take used cooking oil. We're now getting all of the used cooking oil from restaurants around the state and recycling that into our fuel to make our fuel. 1 gallon of used cooking oil, we recycle into nearly the production of nearly 1 full gallon of biodiesel fuel. So it's really a big impact that we're making to reduce waste and to create an incredible high quality renewable fuel for the state. Who's using our fuel? If you see Maui Disposal driving down the street, honk your horn and shaka. They are using our fuel. Boats like Trilogy, Extended Horizons in Lahaina, out of Ma'alaia Harbor, Pacific Whale Foundation, they use it in their boats. This is Maui Brewing Company at the bottom of the screen using it in their generators. We have new customers, Magic Island Construction, putting into their heavy equipment. Electricity production is a big piece. It's Hawaiian Electric there at the top. And I wanted to point out the bottom fleet, picture of the fleet there. That's the city and county of Honolulu that's been using biodiesel for 15 plus years. And we recently estimated in about the last decade, they've used a total of 3.6 million gallons of biodiesel fuel in about 1,000 fleet vehicles. That translates to almost 37,000 tons of CO2. That's their greenhouse gas reduction that they've made. And it's just a choice that they've made to switch the fuel. So we're really happy to have all of these customers and many more throughout the state. Even on the marine side, Hokulea's sister canoe, Hikianalia, they just traveled down, voyaged down to Tahiti, a round trip. Hikianalia is powering with biodiesel fuel that we make, so a local fuel, and they're telling that story and spreading that information. So we're really excited to be a part of those that want to make a difference today. This is local fuel production. Sally hit on it. Energy security is huge now more than ever. And this is Hawaiian Electric Schofield Generating Station on Oahu, 50 megawatt of power production for Oahu. And this has been using 100% biodiesel since its commissioning and came online in 2018. This is a great example of how effective biodiesel is. It's a fast start. These are fast start diesel generators that just turn on quickly, turn off quickly. They can switch gears to be able to respond throughout the day as solar and wind fluctuate in availability. So this is showing how biodiesel works alongside the other renewables and backing them up in a beautiful way. And it's right there, Schofield Barracks. So it's fuel for Hawaii's military. And again, reinforcing how important it is to have local fuel production, local clean fuel production for energy security in our state. And what's new and exciting with us, these are new off-grid biodiesel fueling stations. We have a grant, we received a grant last year from USDA, an infrastructure grant that allowed us to produce 6 of these. So we just had one installed at Ma'alaia Harbor that you see here in the photograph so that boats can fuel up and cars and trucks can fuel up. All you need to do, there's a QR code on your screen. You just download a free app and you can drive up and fuel up in a beautiful harbor environment. And we applaud DLNR. We brought this opportunity to them, and it takes leadership to say, yes, we want to do this. So we provided testimony to the Board of Land and Natural Resources, and it was unanimously approved. They said this fits with our mission. This is the right thing to do, to have biodegradable fuel in a sensitive marine environment. And now you see this this availability expanding throughout the state. It lets us take biodiesel out to areas that were not previously served. And we just dropped one in at Honokahau Harbor on Hawaii Island. So look for these popping up around town throughout the state, and tell others and use it if you can. It's available to you. in talking about used cooking oil as the feedstock, we call it, to make our fuel, that's a finite resource. Like to say there's only so much French fry grease in the state. That is why we're farming. So now we're getting into agriculture, and we're farming for crops like sunflowers. The purple arrow there is pointing to our very first field back in 2017. It's about a 12-acre, that yellow rectangle, about 12 acres of sunflowers that blew everyone's mind. And, you know, it's opened the door for us to tell the story of biodiesel to so many more people, visitors, residents alike. That perimeter there is 115 acres. That's the farm that Bob and Kelly King are running. And we are doing it in a very appropriate way, being mindful of our environment. We are not farming with pesticides or herbicides, no GMO crops. We are farming what we call 100-day crops. So sunflowers are actually seed in the ground until harvest, or 100 days. We like to say from soil to oil, 100 days. And so you can see that, do the math, we can do about 3 rotations throughout the course of the year. And these beautiful sunflowers are energy storage. They're actually pulling in the sunflower, creating the oil in the seeds, sequestering CO2 from the atmospheres. They're doing that and making a big impact just by being plants, and beautiful plants at that. And of course, our farm equipment runs on biodiesel. So we actually are carbon negative. It's no longer enough to be carbon neutral. We got to just, you know, full throttle ahead into renewable everything. So we're actually a carbon negative farming operation. And we're also mindful of the wisdom of the indigenous culture here. The Native Hawaiians know how to do this. So we actually have learned the Hawaiian moon calendar, and our farm team uses the calendar to plan their planting and harvest dates. So that's very important and part of our operation on the farm. In terms of our regenerative farming practices, some of those features you may have seen the past couple of years. We now have a center pivot irrigation system that we've installed. That has been a game changer. That little rectangle from 2017 was about 12 acres. We can now irrigate 75 acres at a time. It's a center pivot. So it does like a 75-acre semicircle across the farm, and it allows us to, you know, be able to water efficiently when the plants need it, the best time of day. So we're trying to minimize water spraying throughout the windy Central Valley there. So that's been fantastic. No-till practices and crop rotation. So we're putting down, we don't want to monocrop with sunflowers. It's not, you all know I'm speaking to the choir here with the farmers in the audience here. We have to rotate our crops. So that's why also you'll see the sunflowers kind of in different spots around the farm, but we're sunflowers and then cover crops. And the types of cover crops last year that we have planted, and we're just evaluating how they grow on the land and learning from that particular soil and how they respond to that environment. Cowpeas, which is a potential for pig food. Sun hemp, that's the other yellow flower that you may have seen on the farm. It just kind of washes yellow across the land. It's a great cover crop. Rye, buckwheat, clover. So our team is looking at the variety of those and other types of oilseed crops like safflower. We are farming for the seeds. When we're making biodiesel, we need the seeds because they're high in oil, the plant oils. And as Sally also mentioned, you know, energy and agriculture, our model is really both. We say it's food, then fuel, because we have created a whole food grade crushing mill right next to our biodiesel refinery on Hawaii Island. So we're harvesting the sunflower seeds and expeller pressing those seeds, which means just physically crushing it. We're not doing chemical extraction and like harsh conventional processing, none of that. It's a natural production process of our oils. And you can see in that beautiful photograph, the culinary oil is the color of the sunflowers, because we're just really creating it in a way that preserves the flavor and aroma, and chefs love it. I was actually just at Mama's Fish House today, letting Chef Perry try our latest batch of sunflower oil, and his eyes were like, what? So it was very special to be able to have him taste the oil and just whip up some fish dish. But so we're making the culinary oil and selling that to consumers and restaurants. So now it's going out into the restaurants, And then we're collecting the used cooking oil from those restaurants. So it's full circle. And that's really maximizing all the available aspects of this production model. And actually, I did mention when we crush the nuts and seeds to make the oil, what's left is a meal. And that meal product is a high protein ingredient for livestock feed. So we're talking to cattle farmers and pig food, and also aquaculture. The macadamia nuts, we have pieces of macadamia nuts from processors on Hawaii Island that approached us a few years back, food grade, but not perfectly round to cover in chocolate for the famous snacks. But we started working with those pieces and fragments of nuts to make a beautiful culinary oil, equally as delicious to the Maui sunflower oil. And that meal has interest already in the aquaculture space as an ingredient for fish food. So there's all these fabulous things. And if there are any chefs out there who have not tried this oil, my email address will be at the end of this presentation. Call me so we can get you some samples. 2020, restaurants, everyone was dealing with that. And what sprouted from that, though, was a real surge in support for local. We saw Maui Hub just respond quickly and put an infrastructure in place to be able to help farmers get their produce, since the restaurants and hotels, were just shuttered, was getting that food quickly into consumers who now were getting farm boxes, myself included, and opening that up and just being dazzled by the choices that were available. So mahalo to Maui Hub that really started that process. We're now in several food hubs across the state. It was exciting to be able to participate and support in these Eat Local challenges. And people on social media were sharing the menu items that they were making. We're collecting recipes at Maiden Hawaii Naturals, the brand of our culinary oils. So we need to keep that alive. It's really important not just to talk about supporting local, but support local. Farmers are rock stars. We got to support our farmers and support local food producers. It's the right thing to do, and we have to do it. The most isolated population of people on planet Earth, and this whole support local is what this illustrates the model I've been talking about. The Pacific Biodiesel has created here. It's all about the circular economy. We are the poster child for the circular economy, meaning, like, what do we have locally? Yeah, Sally, what do we have locally that is available to us? How do we take waste products and turn them into something useful and fabulous for the community and meaningful and effective to fight climate change? Well, for us, that starts with the crops, and then we're creating oils and animal feed, and we're recycling the used cooking oil to make the biodiesel. And by the way, our biodiesel refinery runs on, of course, 100% biodiesel. So it's 100% renewable energy powered. And we're recycling the inputs as well. When we make the biodiesel fuel, it actually creates glycerin, which we're now selling for wastewater treatment usage around the world, really, and salt cake. And I wanted to mention that in particular. We're taking this potassium sulfate product and exploring that. We're currently doing some R&D with that as a possible ingredient for fertilizer for farms. So if any of you are interested, when we get to the point of maybe having different farms try it out, email me, let me know you would like to take part, or go to our website and sign up for our newsletter so we can make announcements about that. But again, this model isn't just a, wow, wouldn't it be nice someday if. This is happening, and you can support this by choosing to fuel your diesel, anything with biodiesel. You can choose local food, culinary oils, and restaurants that are recycling their used cooking oil with us. We all need to kind of come together and make this work, and we're already doing it. So it's very hopeful. So mahalo to all of you. Again, sign up, follow us on social media, and I will turn it back over to Reba.
Mahalo. Thank you so much. That was such a wonderful presentation. It's so great to see the circular economy working for us. And thank you so much, Joy, just for being part of this. If you are available, we have a question here in the chat. Thomas Brandt says, Joy, hypothetically, could local renewable biodiesel fuel be modified cost effectively to a fuel that more conventional non-diesel internal combustion engine vehicles could use for ground and marine transportation? And or could local renewable biodiesel be scaled up cost effectively to gradually replace imported oil to generate electricity and or as a gasoline substitute? Wow, that's a
So,
lot.
yeah, so our type of fuel, biodiesel, really is intended for the diesel engine. And that does include marine application, as I mentioned, not just the tour boats, but also larger vessels. As long as there's a diesel engine technology, our fuel is applicable to that. So I don't know any other kind of modifications. We can certainly scale up. We can certainly make more. The most effective model would be to farm and produce biodiesel on each island and use that fuel. Right now, we do have to ship inter-island, and that's not the most efficient footprint. So as we grow farming and we're able to increase our supply for the marketplace, ideally we would farm and produce biodiesel and use the fuel on each island and avoid that inter-island being this unique island state. I don't know if I answered all of that. If there's still some technical questions, email me and I can get an answer for you.
Thank you. Yeah, so your email, can you put your email in the chat and then people can reach out to you? And you guys can always email Janine, hfuu@hfuu.org.
Reba, we're having a hard time hearing you.
Oops. Thank you. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Up. Can you hear me now? Uh-oh. How's that? Okay. I just had to click mute and unmute. That's weird. So you can email Janine. I don't know if you heard what I was saying. Janine is our communications director, hfuu@hfuu.org, and she can answer any questions. And you can also email haleakala@hfuu.org for any follow-up for this presentation, or if you guys would like to participate more. And if you're inspired by this presentation and would like to help plan more presentations, that's exactly what our board of directors does. So you can join our board of directors. It's a volunteer position, but we're currently looking for more farmers, more foodies, more people who would like to move our system forward. And thank you, Sally, Joy, Janine, and Mason for all of this. Is there anybody else who has any other questions? I see we had someone from Arion, and they are a person, let's see, Nick Azari. He's the CEO of Arion Energy, and we do have a little bit of time. Arion, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, yes. A renewable energy project developer in Hawaii, and he is happy to speak with anyone interested in having agrivoltaic solar projects on their land. So you can go to their website at arionenergy.com. And yeah, Nick, if you'd like to say a little bit about your company, I feel like we do have a little bit of time.
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, aloha everyone. First and foremost, I'm a farmer myself, so we have a large land on Oahu that we would be breaking ground, fairly quickly, and by third quarter this year. Putting that aside, as Sally's presentation showed, first of all, she did an amazing job of giving the larger picture. We have this restriction in Hawaii that the Class A soils are off limit, and actually Class B is also highly restricted. You can only have 10% of the Class B land to be dedicated to renewable energy. So given that those restrictions, it becomes vital if we want to meet our 100% renewable energy power generation by 2045, being on islands and we don't make land anymore. We need to really think about using different facets of agrivoltaics to generate electricity. So right now we are looking for farmers, landowners who are interested in that type of solution. There are, I mean, the timing is actually great. I mean, there are what they call RFPs, right? Requests for proposals by HECO that is going to be out fairly quickly in next 3-4 months for Oahu and Maui. And in addition to that, we are also working on a community solar that Sally was talking about. We are building 2 projects, one in South Point on Big Island and one on Kalaloa on Oahu. And we would be interested to talk to anyone who has land that likes to dedicate to that. On Maui, we have a parcel on Haleakala Ranch that we have leased to build a community solar project, but we are always looking for more. So we are here to help. I put my contact information in the chat, and whoever interested, please feel free to email me or call me, and I'll be happy to give you guys more information.
Mahalo, Nick. This feels like a farmers union meeting. This is exactly what we do at regular meetings. So I just love networking. Thomas Brandt, if you have a question, feel free to ask it.
Thank you. I just wanted to see if Sally could take a shot at answering the question I posted earlier. I'll read it just so everybody doesn't have to find it. Could HFUU form one statewide community-based renewable energy Hui, even if the members are not physically located all adjacent to each other in the same geographical area, but instead are scattered throughout Hawaii? Or, scrolling down, I'm trying to scroll down, bear with me. And or would Sally recommend separate energy Huis on each island, or maybe more than one per island, as Nick just suggested, South Point and on Kalailoa, I believe, and maybe Maui as well? And or could HFUU be a catalyst for eventually creating their own union organized independent electricity micro co-ops, aka what I call energy local area networks, that are collectively owned by HFUU members and eventually independent from HECO, complete with their own decentralized storage and generation capacities? Is any of that feasible in your opinion, Sally?
So generally, so CBREs, you need a subscriber organization, and that's what you're asking is if HFUU could be that subscriber organization. The thing is, you need to have a place to put all the solar panels. You need to have like the actual site. Now, I don't know for sure if you could do it where it just decentralized like that, and everybody has they just have one subscription and it flashes out. I don't know that. As far as I know, it has to be one centralized location. You could do your question was about doing a co-op. Why not? I mean, I think any sort of union between agriculture and energy is a great idea, and I think it would only empower the farmers and people, the residents of Hawaii at large, and strengthen our bonds and make us a stronger place to live in general.
And on that note, everybody probably knows Kauai already is independent of HECO.
Correct.
The Kauai Island Utility Co-op is
Correct.
customer-owned nonprofit. There's a group on Molokai trying to do something very similar.
Correct.
And Hawaii Island has had the Hawaii Island Electric Co-op in name, although it does not yet exist in reality. But I think the players Richard Ha and Marco Mangelsdorf, I think, were the main guys behind that. They formed that organization on paper in response to Next Era trying to buy out Hawaiian Electric a few years back, if you might remember that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Sally, for answering that. I wanted to shout out Joy. You mentioned you worked with Maui Hub, and that was one of Haleakala chapter's initiatives to start Maui Food Hub. So we're no longer affiliated together, but we're really proud that we helped begin that project. John Dovan, he was the president before me, and he really taught me how to be the president, and he took over that project. So shout out to him. We have some leadership here. Shout out to Fina. She's our Molokai chapter president. I'm really happy to see you here, Fina. We got to explore some fun places on the Big Island at our strategic planning retreat. Our leadership gets together twice a year, and that's 15 chapters with our state executive committee as well. So we gather together for our strategic planning retreat, and then we also have a convention every November or December. This year, it's going to be December 1st through the 4th, and it's going to be right next door to those sunflowers. It's going to be at Uncle Bobby's Hawaii Taro Farm. And so you can see our convention tickets are available now, and if you're a member, they're discounted for you. But that's 4 days of educators and entertainment, food, and just a way to gather and connect. So you can sign up for our convention on our website, right? Karen is running that, so I'm looking over to Karen because she's wonderful. And then, did somebody ask if they wanted to raise their hand? You could just yes, Kevin, go for it. Did you have a question?
There. I was wondering what you're using on the ground under the sunflowers, Joy. Is that a cover crop, or those just, you might say, naturalized vegetation that you haven't sprayed with Roundup?
It could be one of our cover crops. And if you've been in the sunflowers, we know everyone pretty much has. You can see that we don't use pesticides and herbicides. There's plenty of weeds that we're learning to farm around and try and minimize without Roundup. No, we're not using any of that.
Yeah, it looks like the sunflowers are doing quite well with the undergrowth. And then what are you using to fertilize them? Are you doing a cover crop before you plant that is nitrogen fixing, or how are you feeding them?
Yeah, that's a good question. Probably one for our farm team. I'm sorry, I don't have all the technical answers, but email me your email address or send me your email address and I can get that answer to you.
And I enjoyed the video that I watched earlier today during lunch. You have the farm has a nice website. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Just one more shout out. If you want one of these hats, it says Haleakala chapter. Mason and I are sporting them because if you're a board member, you get one for free. But if you're not a board member, you can always buy them for $25. You can Venmo us at HFUU official, or you can just email us and we can work that out with you. But yeah, I don't know if there's any other things to talk about. So just thank you so much for being here. This is a great speaker series, and I look forward to connecting with you all in human form soon. Aloha.
Aloha. Aloha, Reba.
Thank you,
Aloha.
everyone.
Aloha. Ahoy, ahoy.